There we go. It looks like we are good to go. Welcome to our course tonight, folks. 5010, week 8. I am so excited to be here. And here for me this week is down here at SEDC in Cedar City. I'm a few minutes away from Tony Pellegrini at SUU. And right across the table, from Clint, it looks like we're in different spots, but if you turn the camera, there he is right there. So I was helping with a secretary's conference today here in the city and decided to stay around, and instead of hit you guys on a random gas station, let's talk here instead. So very excited to be here with you tonight. If you have questions or worries as we go through, please feel free to jump in the chat and let us know. We'll be checking that chat throughout. Tonight's meeting is going to be fairly quick unless we get a ton of questions, just because we are moving into the phase of this class that is lovingly known as finishing up the end game, which is getting your portfolio finished up, getting your tech integration project done. So this week we only have a couple smaller assignments. One of them that many of you have already finished, so we'll get into that in just a couple minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get into it. Let's see. Yep. Can you guys see that okay? Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Hit escape. Thanks, Clint. I'm used to doing two screens on this, folks, and if you've ever had to switch between two screens and one screen for this, it is the worst, but that's okay. So with that said, here is, we've been learning so many tech tips from you guys. I thought this week I would share a tech tip of my own. This is Canva. If you've played around with Canva, it's pretty incredible. I always think of it as graphic design for dummies, mostly because I lovingly adore myself as a dummy. So this particular presentation is just a normal presentation on Canva, but if I move this out of the way, I'm moving my entire slide deck. How am I doing that, folks? Well, Canva just added a brand new thing inside of their tool, and I just love this, so I'm sharing it with you. Here's my actual slide deck on Google, copy it, and I'm going to go back over here, create a design education presentation, close the sidebar really quick, and if I just click on that white space, Control V, it's going to read that I have just put it on a share link that's open for the web of a slide deck. And now I can present that slide deck in whole on Canva. So there's my tip for you guys for this week. I'm going to go ahead and present from here. And I wanted to show this as well, because if you never present on Canva, it's actually really cool. So like, for instance, you have students that are like super loud in class. Yeah. Oh yeah. Or if you want to, like, I don't know, celebrate, you can throw some confetti up. Or if you want to be fun, you can throw some bubbles up as well, or blur. So really fun stuff. Anyways, just thought I'd share that a little bit. So this week is week 8, folks. Got a couple things. Here are all the instructors. If you are still unsure which instructor is yours, it's week 8. You should have checked that a few weeks ago, but please let us know. All the instructors are on here. Next week is Clint, and then we're going to round out our 8-week course, or our 12-week course with Brandon, and then Carol's going to finish us out at the end of the month. Here are the essential items for this week. So a couple things. Number one is our portfolio is due on week 12. So that is April 6th. We'll get down to that date here in a few minutes. But between now and then, on week 11, your project is due, your tech integration project. So this week, you should be starting to, or maybe even earlier, starting to do that technology integration project in your class and starting to collect items, collect sheets, all sorts of stuff about, artifacts. Thank you. That's the term I was looking for. Artifacts. See, being in a room with Clint is so much easier. Artifacts that you need to show student learning throughout the process, but also making sure that you collect reflections on that process as well. All of that will be part of your tech integration project, will be part of your portfolio. So even though that's due in week 11, you then have another due date in week 12 for the whole portfolio. Remember, that portfolio is going to encompass all of the previous assignments that we've done in class. So things like your HyperDoc, your flipped classroom video, and all that jazz for those 5-6 weeks that we did those. Those are all going to be on there as well. So we've already talked a little bit about the portfolio draft. We'll get into let's go ahead and jump into the extra credit portfolio review. So this week we opened up an extra credit portfolio review project. The instructions are on there. All the instructors are on board for it being extra credit. It's not required. So very, very clear. It's not a required project. You don't need to turn it in, but it's very important to get feedback on your own portfolio as a teacher and as an educator or an educational technologist. We find all sorts of stuff throughout our careers that we want to put onto a portfolio like this. And it's really important to keep track of those, but it's always also nice to see what other people are thinking about our portfolios as we go forward. And so this particular project, again, extra credit, you can submit your portfolio to be reviewed by 2 other participants in the class. And if you complete it, we'll give you some extra credit as well. Instructors will be checking it weekly to see who's participating and to offer encouragement to make sure that everyone is going forward. And just kind of
in the chat.
Oh, good.
Tanya reminds everyone to make sure that you change your link or you put the link in there so that anyone can view it. We need the public link, not the big long gobbledygook link that says /edit at the end. Otherwise, no one will be able to view it.
Absolutely. With Google, it's always that problem of sharing. So make sure you've got that ready to roll. The publish link would be preferable if you can publish it and then grab that link. And if you need help on doing that, any of the instructors can help you do that really quickly. It just takes a couple extra minutes. With that said, I thought it would be interesting to see today. I've been actually working on my own portfolio. This class has kind of inspired me to re-up my portfolio as a teacher and as a technologist and start keeping track better of the things I do. And so I just wanted to show you, this is a very high-end version of the portfolio we're asking you to do, but I'm using Squarespace and paying some money to get it done. But if you click on that link, it will actually take you to my portfolio. You can zoom around and see some of the stuff I've been working on over the last couple of years, some of the podcasts I've been on. But again, it's about keeping track of the things we do as professionals so that we can share that out with the community and that we can keep track of it for future use. If we just keep it in a Google Drive unsorted, it tends to disappear or get dusty in the digital drawer. So keeping track of it is a really good idea. And a Google site is a great way to do it. Weebly, all sorts of options that are free. Again, I'm just using Squarespace because I enjoy it as a platform. I think it's a really fun platform to build on, but I do pay a couple bucks. All right, a couple other things that are essential items this week. Week 11 and 12 are combined for our presentation. So again, next week you'll have Clint, and then the week after you'll have Brandon, and then the last week will be combined 11 and 12 with our last presenter. So make sure you're ready to go. Now with those 2 weeks, you can always contact us and we can meet with you individually. We just won't have a course like this at night. So just feel free to email any of your instructors and we can still set up some time to work with it. It's kind of our way of handing you back some time as teachers and students to do the work that we're asking you to do towards the end of the semester. All right, I'm going to pause because I think I heard a question, but I just want to make sure. Practicing wait time.
David, do you have a question? Your mic's open.
Okay, cool. Just checking, David. Love that answer. All right, the course end, just getting you prepared. The course ends on April 6th. So be prepared for that, folks. I know it's still 4 weeks out. That seems incredibly far away. April feels like it's a lifetime away, but we said that at the beginning of February too, that March seemed super far away, and it's now here and rearing its head. A couple things with the next couple of weeks. You do have week 9 just a discussion, week 10 just a discussion, 11 your tech integration project is due, and then week 12 your portfolio is due. So that's kind of the sequence of events over the next couple of weeks. So instead of having a weekly project, you do just have the discussions and you're ready to roll that way. All right, the reading this week is on engaging students. It's a pretty quick reading and it's pretty straightforward. Do any of the instructors want to add anything about the reading this week? Okay. All right, our discussion this week is on online models. It's very similar to last week, but make sure that you think about the elements of place-based instruction and then what can't be replaced or replicated in an online environment. So last week, we very much focused on face-to-face classes and kind of flipped classrooms. This time we're thinking about what can't be replicated in an online classroom. And for me, I think back to the first time that I had an online class. It was a independent reading course with Sherlock Holmes in my undergrad. And it was great. It was really fun. But what I couldn't replicate was the fact that my professor was in England at the time on a different time zone, and he didn't have email half the time. So whenever I had a question, it took a really long time for me to get an answer. And at the end of the semester, when we were turning in a lot of assignments, because he bulked all of his assignments at the very end, it ended up being a really difficult process for us as students, because we couldn't get a hold of our instructor to make sure that we were getting credit for the assignments we were working on. So sometimes we have to think outside the box with this kind of online instruction. It's not just that there's not a physical person there to read physical facial cues, work with students, those sorts of things, but it's also those communication things that we're worried about with quickness and timeliness of email, or with our even in-person communication. But there's lots of other examples of the differences and kind of the things that lack in an online environment. So we're really excited to see what you come up with for that discussion this week. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. Anything in the chat, Clint?
Yeah, so somebody asked, Sharon asked, I'm fuzzy on what is actually due for week 11. And so I just pasted in the requirements from that assignment. So you're going to create a presentation, like some slides or whatever else, showcasing, talking about what you did, what your students did, and those students, that's where you share those student artifacts. So if they made a project, give us an example of the project. If they made video, show us an example of that. Whatever they made, we want to see some of that. And then you will do a video to walk us through that slideshow. So it's an asynchronous presentation, but we do want you to kind of make a recording and talk us through what you've got there. And then a 2 to 4 page reflection on what you expected, what you did, what challenges you hit, what changes you'd make the next time, and so on and so on. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, so 3 basic components. Again, just summarizing, Clint, thank you so much for that, by the way, Clint. We have our reflection, which is 2 to 4 pages. We have our video, and we have our presentation. So sounds like a lot, but when you actually, the hard part is getting those artifacts from the students and making sure that you're tracking that throughout. The thing that I'm really excited to read is your reflection, because I think as we go through, we want to be able to reflect on any teaching process and whether or not it is working and valuable. Does the reflection need to be included in our portfolio? Clint says it's up to you. The instructors will see it on the back end, but if you'd like to include it on your Google site for others to see, that would be fantastic. We would like to see on the Google site, Clint, correct me if I'm wrong, this presentation of the video.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
And maybe like, instead of 2 to 4 pages, maybe like an executive summary, if you want to include something as a reflection for the portfolio.
Bulleted would be really good.
Sorry, say that again.
Just bulleted, but would be really great.
That's perfect. Bullet list. Sorry, somebody else jumped on.
Yeah, me. Sorry. So if we have pictures of the students doing their projects or whatever, Google Sites, it's only shared with you guys as instructors, right? Because we have I work in a girls' home. It's kind of, we're not even supposed to take pictures.
Sorry, public, so other people can do the review. So if you're worried about it, blur them out, or just only include that in the stuff that you share with us. Okay. If you walk through. Yeah,
just kind of a continuing best practice with photos in the classroom, with particular student work, is back of the head, or maybe like hands, that sort of stuff. If you can manage that, it's harder to do, but that way you know that you are protected from any sort of issues with photography in your classroom down the line. Does that help out, Sharon?
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome, no worries. Let's see. Thanks, David. Looks like we got your question covered. Is this the flipped class or a new presentation?
Maria, will you open your mic and ask your question?
Yeah, Maria, can you jump on for us?
You asked about this week or that. So you're.
Yeah, so this is a new presentation. It's not the flip class that we had last week, correct? So the flip class, it was like also a video and about what the kids were doing after we flipped the class. This is a new presentation for another project.
Yes.
Focused on your technology project. Your flipped lesson could have been.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so think of this as like the flipped instruction video was a weekly assignment that will be part of your portfolio, but now we're doing a presentation for your entire tech integration project. So you're good to go on that.
Doing 3 weeks, 4 weeks, week 11.
3 weeks. Yeah, okay, I remember that. So now, well, I'll send you a message, Clint.
Thanks, Maria. All right, I'm gonna practice wait time again. Anybody other questions, jump on the mic, feel free to drop in the chat. Okay, all right. Let's move on. So do this week. Again, we have 3 things to do this week. You have your element presentations for all weeks. So just to be 100% clear, folks, by next Wednesday, every week needs to be turned in. So everyone needs to have their presentation turned in. So if you have scheduled yourself for week 9, 10, or 11, or 12, you need to have it done by next Wednesday up on Flipgrid. So just making sure that's 100% clear for everyone. That's to help the instructors to make sure we get your projects graded before the end of the semester, instead of having a giant stopgap at the end. So we want to we're already going to have a giant one with your portfolios, your tech integration projects. So we want to make sure that we have a little bit of extra space there. So by Wednesday, Wednesday midnight, do you know the date?
No, it's the 10th.
10th, Wednesday the 10th, at midnight. Make sure that you have the 9th at midnight, 11:59 p.m. Make sure you have everything ready to go on the tech integration, or sorry, the element presentation.
If you've already turned it in, you're done.
Yeah, if you've already turned in, you're good, which a lot of you have, and we've really appreciated the videos. We'll get to our one here in just a minute. Then we also have our online discussion for week 8 on online models, and then start to work on your tech integration project. And if you'd like to jump into the extra credit portfolio review project, you are more than welcome to start doing that this week. But remember, that's going to be open for the next couple of weeks as well. All right, with that said, our element presentation is from Tanya Campbell, but I think I forgot to share my sound. So I'm going to jump out and stop presenting really quick. Just make sure I get that ready to roll. Share screen.
I told Matthew, I said, it seems like a lot of my students have been the ones that have been spotlighted in the Flipgrid. And since I've been gone, it's on me. Totally reflection on you guys.
Well, and I picked this one this week because Tanya, your first 10 seconds of your video, I very much identified with. I went, oh my goodness, this is something that I have tried to do my entire life and I cannot do it. So you guys will see why here in just a second. So here we go. Oh, shoot. For some reason, sound's not working, folks. I'm sorry.
Visual's almost enough, Matt.
I was looking all cool with Canva for a second there, folks. And now I just, all that fun stuff is gone. Here we go. Let's try that one more time. Oh, nope.
We know you guys secretly love it when this happens to us. We're not so secretly.
Okay, I'm sharing sound. I'm not sure what's.
For years and years and years. Apparently not.
Yeah, let me try my mic.
Matt, it worked for a minute. I could hear.
And now for your entertainment. Let's see if I can remember how to juggle from years and years and years. Apparently not. I know. Let me check my magic hat. See what I can pull out of there. Nothing out there either. So many times we as teachers feel like we have to be the entertainer, the clown, the person who's getting their attention all the time. As you may have figured out, my element is element 24, which is noticing when students are engaged or not engaged, as it may be. In this small bit of the document on page 106 talks about how we can get our kids engaged. But first of all, how do we notice if they're not engaged? Well, we as veteran teachers already know that there are a lot of things. Maybe they're not asking questions. Maybe it's poor performance. Maybe it's they're not paying attention. Their heads are down, they're sleeping, they're looking at their phone, they're talking to their friends, they're doodling, they're reading a book. There are dozens of reasons why kids become disengaged. We as teachers need to monitor that and see what's going on. And as you get experience, you do realize how to do that. Now, how do we handle the situation? In the reading, it talks about we can use proximity, move near to the people or the students that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Eye contact. Oh yeah, I got my eyes on you. Talking to them, asking questions. I know in my class, I will often pull out a popsicle stick with the computer number on it and say, answer this question. So there are a lot of things. Maybe poll them. There are a lot of ways that you can do it. Read up there, do some research, and hopefully you won't have to be the clown and the entertainer. Thanks.
Stop my share.
So you can kind of see why I chose that one. It's a fantastic little video. Thank you, Tanya, for trying to juggle for us and do a little bit of magic. But like we experienced just a second ago in our class, but also generally in classrooms, it's hard to maintain student attention over all the time. But there's some great strategies for doing that. So thank you for bringing it up, Tanya. And it just was a fantastic video. So we really appreciate that. All right.
Matt, can I just share
I'm
a couple
going to
other
jump
ideas?
in and share the last little bit of our presentation tonight. So a couple of other things that are going on. So again, reminders about conferences. Go ahead and share that slideshow. There we go. So we've got USET coming up next 2 weeks, actually 2 weeks, March 15th and 16th. Clint and I have been working feverishly on that. Pretty much every instructor is presenting, if not working at the conference. So feel free to come by and again, say hi to us. We would love to say hello, and we've got tons of great stuff going on at the conference. I was just on a call with Google today. Really fun stuff happening. So hopefully we'll see you there. If not, that's okay. We'll see you maybe at some of these other ones. So we have Ed Camp Cut coming up on April 30th, 9 to 2. And if you've never been to an Ed Camp, it is a fantastic experience. It's one of my favorite events of the year to get to go to Ed Camps here in the state of Utah, because I just learn so much from everyone that's there. So come on by, and there's great prizes every time at an Ed Camp here in the state of Utah. So I know Brandon's got some great things cooked up for that as well. And the last one is URSA, which is on July 6th, 7th, and 8th down here at SUU. So we'll be down here in Cedar with that conference. The conference is taking proposals until March 25th. And some of the things that you guys are doing in this class would make fantastic presentations. So if you're willing to get out of your shell and jump out of your classroom and go do a presentation at a conference, URSA is one of the first ones that I did in the statewide capacity, and I never look back. It's such a friendly, wonderful experience to go to that conference. And for a lot of you in like Clint and Clint's section, Brandon's section, this is right on your doorstep. So if you're willing to present, awesome, but make sure you think about attending as well and come join us. It's going to be a really, really fun conference. The other thing I want to talk about for just kind of a sidestep with PD as well, just kind of keeping ourselves kind of going on things, is that we now have quite a few educator podcasts here in the state of Utah. So these are the big three that I'm helping with personally, or I've been on, but also I have friends that are running them as well. So the first one is UEN Homeroom. I work on that one with Danny Sloan up at UEN. It's a fantastic podcast. And this last episode, we interviewed the keynotes for USET. So if you're interested in understanding who the keynotes are, it's a great episode for that. The USET podcast is hosted by Kira Bettis out of Jordan School District. And this week, it was me and Danny Macias from Alpine that were on the podcast talking about global education. You might not know this about me, but I've traveled the world on teacher grants, gone all over the world, and and done all sorts of stuff. And we talk a little bit about that. It's great. And the last one is the Utah Teacher Fellows from the Hope Street Group. They have a podcast now in episode 3 coming up. Really great communicative podcast that they're looking for teachers to be on. So if you're interested, email the instructors, they'll send it on to me and I could put you in contact with the Utah Teacher Fellows to maybe be on one of their future episodes, which is really great. And just some shameless self-promotion here, folks. I linked.
Natalie has a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Natalie.
I'm one of the hosts of Utah Teacher Fellows, and I designed with Canva the logo.
Sound crashed. Okay.
Yeah, and so my introduction is the first video about myself, is the first podcast.
Sorry. Natalie, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, I am one of the hosts for Utah Teachers Fellows, and there's an introduction one for me on the first podcast. And also I just finished one with Georgiana. She's a teacher in Whitehorse High School. She's the Utah Arts teacher, high school teacher of the year. So I'm interviewing her as well, coming out. It should be coming out in a few weeks or next month. Okay.
That is so great to hear, Natalie. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I probably heard your name dozens of times at this point. I've worked with Kayla to help her edit some of the episodes. So that's fantastic to hear. So thank you so much for sharing that. So we even have somebody else in the class who's working on podcasts. So here in the state of Utah. So please join in and check those out. They're really fun and putting out some great content. I also wanted to share that Carol dropped this in the chat that Davis will have their R&R conference in June. They'll have the dates in the next couple of weeks. So that's another option for some PD, especially if you're up in the northern part of the state. And Clint did add that if you go to URSA, if you present, you get in for free, which is a good value. And then again, folks, some shameless self-promotion. Here's the link for my episode that I just did with the USET podcast. So, and with that said, folks, I promised this would be a short session. I think we're under 30 minutes, which I consider to be short. So at this point, if you have any questions, feel free to stick around, ask them in the chat. But otherwise, folks, we'll see you next week for week 9, which Clint will be running. And we're so excited to have that. And then hopefully we'll see you guys at USET in the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much.
Oh, Catherine Ross, you want to be on Utah Teachers Fellows?
Sure.
Okay. I'll give you my email address and you can email me your details. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Matt, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, Matt.
Oh, Matt. Okay.
Or
Any other questions anybody has?
yes, I have a question.
Shoot.
So for my final project, I am doing video with my students, and they're going to be doing like newscasts on a green screen.
Fantastic.
Can you tell me the easiest way to blur out their faces on a video?
I can take that one.
Okay. Can you hear through my mic
Or can you hear me?
There we go.
if I do that?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, we might want to just do it through your mic, Clint. Yeah, let's just do it through your mic.
Okay.
So Angela, can you hear me now? There is not a row you can do a quick like blur on top of a specific place, but to track it, it doesn't really follow at all. It's just the technology through Chromebooks isn't that great. However, if you were to take that clip and download it, export it off of WeVideo and then put it into like Premiere Pro, that takes just a couple minutes to learn how to blur and then track that face throughout.
Or send it to Matt and he'd do it for you, probably.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that just being honest with you, the WeVideo, last time I used it, which was just a couple of weeks ago, the blurring is almost impossible to do the way that you think.
Or just submit it in Canvas and don't put it on your portfolio.
That would be another option as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to get permission from the students' parents to submit it as an assignment on Canvas?
So it's all about control of the clip. And so if you record it and use it in class, it's fine. If you share it like within Canvas, that's fine because it takes a login to get into Canvas. But as soon as you post it on a public website, then you lose control of it, and that's when you need permission.
So I wouldn't need permission then to submit it to you. Okay,
Your,
thank you.
your best case scenario, Angela, would be put it on like Google Drive, which works natively with video.
Mhm.
That link directly with your instructor, and then just kill that link later.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to help.
Great question.
Can I have a question?
Absolutely, Tina.
Okay. I emailed Brandon and he hasn't emailed me back. And after listening to today's seminar, you guys, I'm not sure if my project is going to work. So will you give me feedback? Is that okay? Okay. Well, I took this really cool Google integration course that just ended, Matt. And I had the idea a couple weeks ago to create an agenda that I put on Canvas. So it's like a live working document, and it's totally through Google Slides. And I have hyperdocs and like Jamboards and everything that's linked into that. And that's what I was going to do for my project, but I can't really get student artifacts from that unless it's the links that the students have used. Did I mess up and do the wrong kind of project?
You want to go? What's your opinion? She can hear you.
Okay, my opinion would be that, sorry, I'm just thinking it through right here. So you're gonna, like, parroting it all back to you, you're going to create a hyperdoc, basically weekly calendar through Google Slides, I'm assuming, putting it on Canvas, and then using that throughout the entire like 4-week project, correct?
Correct. It's like, yeah, it's on all my classes. It's a daily agenda. It has our coursework. It has everything just built into it. Because my at-home students, I have so many at-home students right now that I needed a way to integrate my in-class and at-home students. And it's been working fabulously, but I can do another project if I need to.
So, well, and if it's working fabulous for you, I think there's ways that we can work that through. So one way that you could get feedback from your students is maybe using a Google form and sending it out to the students and saying, hey, you're at home. How has this calendar actually helped you? Could you give me some feedback on the calendar? What kind of things are in there? But then also, like, you could take it another step forward and have the students, like some of those artifacts, maybe have a connected project that is off of that hyperdoc that is maybe another hyperdoc or something like that, that kind of, or maybe you have them create their own page for the calendar.
Yeah, Carol makes
That's actually a good idea. Okay.
And Carol is saying some stuff on Jamboards or some things they can collaborate on. That would be a fantastic one too. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can use those artifacts and stuff. Okay, perfect.
My
Thank you,
brain
guys.
defaults back to project-based learning where kids are building something. But if you've got so many that are out and you're integrating technology, it's making it work for your situation, I think you're golden.
Okay, thank you guys. That makes me feel better about everything. I appreciate it.
I think you're getting this stamp, Tina. Stamp of approval. Go for it.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions?
Just an instructor